Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So in the last video, I did a demonstration of a Cisco 7942G configured on freepbx using CHAN sccp. And basically the CHAN sccp module on freepbx is, to an extent, mocking a Cisco call manager system. So therefore you are able to use a Cisco phone like a 7900. I'm not sure if this will work with the newer Cisco phones, but at least it works for the 7900s, and it enables you to use them on freepbx using sccp firmware as opposed to SIP firmware. So anyway, I got a request to make a video on basically how to configure a Cisco phone like that on freepbx's CHAN sccp. So that is what we will be doing in today's video. So when you first install CHAN sccp, you're going to notice probably that freepbx is going to give you some warnings, such as this one right here, the yellow one that says unassigned modules. And earlier on for me, there was even a warning from the firewall saying, oh, this isn't a recognized module by freepbx and blah blah blah. But rest assured, CHAN sccp, it's not malicious, and it just plain works. And also, when you install it, you'll notice that there's a new tab up above that says sccp connectivity, and it has a drop-down menu with phones manager, server config, and system parameters. Now, installing the CHAN sccp is outside the scope of this tutorial, but me and this other guy made a Google Doc on how to install it, along with other things, and I will link that in the description. But only me and him have editing rights, of course, so not just anyone can mess with it and screw it up. So anyway, now let's get started with the first steps on configuring like my Cisco phone on CHAN sccp. So first of all, we need to go to the sccp connectivity tab and go to server config. And these are steps that you need to do beforehand. So first of all, under the general sccp settings, you need to make sure the sccp server name is asterisk, and the sccp tftp server path is /tftp boot. And yeah, this is the default path for TFTP because freepbx has TFTP built into it, and again, like that's the main path it uses. So you need to make sure that sccp uses that to put the firmware there along with the config files and all that. So now we need to go to sccp device, and let's see here. Okay, so in the sccp device tab, you need to probably make your digit timeout to something like 1, so that your phone will dial immediately. When you've dialed all the numbers you want to dial. I'm pretty sure like the default is like 8 seconds, and that's kind of a long time. But at the same time, you can change this to whatever you want. Let's see here. Alright, so that's all you need to do on sccp device. Now we need to go to sccp time. So you need to make sure NTP server is enabled, and use an NTP server such as pool.ntp.org. Call answer order unicast, and display day format. You can put it to whatever you prefer. For my case, I have it day, month, year, and Chicago time zone. And that's the end of the configuration we need to do in the sccp manager. Okay, so for this next part, you need to be sure you have direct access to your freepbx / CLI. And what we're going to be doing here is making sure TFTP is up and running. Because if it's not, then this isn't going to work. So the first command, and there's a couple of them, the first one is systemctl start TFTP. And then the second one is systemctl enable TFTP. What are you talking about? I misspelled it. CTL enable TFTP. Okay, so after we do those, now to actually get the firmware, I use this website called firewall.cx. And, well, from a first glance, it doesn't look all that trustworthy, but in reality, it works. That's where I got my sccp firmware. It's not full of viruses or anything. So you need to scroll down until you find your particular model. In my case, it's a 7942. And now we need to right-click the download button and copy the link location. And now we need to go back into the CLI again. And there's a few things we need to do. So first, we need to make a temporary directory. So the command for that is mkdir and then squiggly line /temp. Although I'm pretty sure, yeah, I already made that, so that's what you would do if you haven't already made it. So now to go into that directory, we need to do cd squiggly line /temp. So now we are in that directory. Now we need to do wget and then paste that link. Alright, so I just pasted that link. That's what it looks like, and then we hit enter. Alright, so it looks like it worked properly. Now we need to do mv file dot okay. We need to do mv file.html and then file.zip and then hit enter when it asks you to override it, and then we need to unzip file.zip, and we need to do yes, and then yes again for the other one. Alright, so it looks like that worked properly as well. Now, just to check, I think we need to do ls. Okay, so it looks like the 7942 and 7962 is in there, in that directory. So now, yeah, we need to cd, where is it, cp? Okay, cd, 7940, and then you can also just hit tab to autocomplete it as well, and then hit enter. Alright, so now we are in that directory. And then we need to do cp, and then capital S, and then tab it again, and then, okay, actually try scc, and then try tabbing it, and star space /tftp boot, and tab it again, and then hit enter. And it's going to ask if you want to override it. Hit enter. Alright, so we just completed that. So now it's on the TFTP. So the next part of this configuration is kind of the weird part. So we are back in the freepbx web interface. So now we need to go to sccp connectivity and system parameters, and right here where it says show enabled, change it to show all. And now we need to scroll until I find my phone model. It was like row 4 or row 5. Yeah, it's row 5, 7942. And if you click the pencil icon here, that's how you can edit some of the details. you can also change the load image it uses. So in order to find the right load image, you have to go back to the CLI, and let's see here. You have to let's get out of this. Let's actually reload it. Alright, so we are back in the CLI again, and if to find the load image that we're looking for, we will need to do cd /tftp boot and then ls. So right here it shows the different images here and the different contents of the folder. And so right here it says sccp 42.9-2-1s.loads. So we would need to, oops, not that. We would need to put that right here where it says load image, but we need to get rid of the .loads extension, so just sccp 42.9-2-1s, and just leave it that way. Don't put .loads or .anything else, and leave the model template XML the same. Like, don't mess with this. This is just a default template that comes with sccp, and then we click apply. And if you did it right, the box for your model should not be red or yellow. It should just be plain white like this. And then, yeah. Also, in case you might run into trouble, such as your model phone doesn't exist when you try to configure it as an sccp extension, you need to go back to sccp connectivity and system parameters and find your model and click edit. You gotta make sure the load image is exactly right, you know, without any spaces. You know, make sure all the punctuation is right, and don't put .loads or anything, or don't make sure there's not even a space like right in front of, you know, the beginning of it, such as this, because even that would screw it up completely. And alternatively, you could also go into the CLI and go into the TFTP boot again and ls it and see if that loads file even exists. And well, yeah, it does right here. Or if it's not here, then yeah, like freepbx couldn't find it. And another problem could potentially be like you didn't even, maybe it's even named wrong within the TFTP boot folder, or didn't copy overwrite, or whatever. Alright, so now under sccp connectivity, now we need to go to Phones Manager. And now we need to make an extension, in which I already did. Let's look at the details here. So, display name Cisco 7942G. Voicemail, that is turned on, required from the same extension. Blah blah blah. Let's see here. Ring time 40 seconds, as usual. Let's see. And basically, this is very similar to just configuring a regular SIP extension. Like, as you can see, the options are very similar. But anyway, when you're done with all that, you click submit, and then apply the config. Now we need to go back over here, Phones Manager again, and now go to sccp phone, go to that tab. So let's go into this thing. Yeah, you need to make one. So for the device SEP ID, you put the MAC address of the phone. Let's see here. The type is, yeah, 7942. Device label, I just put Cisco 7942. Soft key set is default. Time zone offset GTM time, just keep it there. And then all the other settings need to just stay to they need to stay default. Now go to the other tab, device buttons, and right here you can configure, you know, the different buttons on the phone, like what they'll do. So the first one is just a default line. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be able to make or receive calls. But you can also configure the other buttons with like another line, or basically like another line key that's just silent, or a monitor, that's basically another word for BLF. But the other phone that you want to monitor has to be a Cisco phone as well, like a 7900 on sccp. And speed dial, feature, and then like advanced line. You know, I wonder what that does. Well, it's a little complicated. I don't want to do that. But feature, there's different things like park slots, record calls, change status. So I think I'll actually have it as a, well, no. I think, well, anyway, I'm just gonna leave it default. You know, I'm not gonna configure the other button right now. And then now we click save and continue, and it tells you that. Alrighty, so alright, so before we start provisioning the phone, we need to make sure, you need to make sure your DHCP server is capable of option 66, and set the option to the IP address of your freepbx, and make sure the TFTP boot directory has firmware files and a set MAC address file created by the sccp manager. And you also need to do some stuff with your firewall to make sure it'll work, like such as allowing port 2000. But honestly, I just disable the firewall because my system isn't even port forwarded anyway, and it's just complicated to configure those settings to get sccp working with the firewall on, so I just disabled it. Okay, so if your DHCP server is not capable of option 66 or 150, you need to use a program on Windows called TFTP 64 in order to mock a DHCP server. You also need to make sure your PC has a static IP address instead of dynamic, or else when you disable DHCP on your router, in order to avoid conflict with your mock DHCP server, your PC will lose its lease on its dynamic IP, so just make it static. So you need to install TFTP 64, and then once you install it and open it up, you need to go to the settings button down here and go to global and disable anything that has TFTP in it, and only enable like DHCP and syslog. Let's see here. So now we need to go to the DHCP tab, and there are a few things we need to do here. So we need to make the IP pool start address like 192.168.1.2, since my subnet is .1.1. The size of the pool needs to be something big, such as 230, or you can make it really as big as you want. The lease that's just a default setting. Leave it. Default router under DHCP options, 192.168.1.1, mask 255.255.0, and then under additional options, right here. We need to change that to 66. And then the IP address of my freepbx server, so that's 192.168.1.159. And then before we click OK, we actually need to go to my router. So let me do that real fast. Alright, so now I am in my router's settings, and before I click OK on the program TFTBD, sorry about that. Before we click OK on TFTBD 64, we need to disable DHCP on the router. Oh my goodness gracious, people are blowing up my phone right now. So yeah, we need to disable the DHCP on the router to avoid conflict. So uncheck this, at least in my case, and click apply. And yeah, it's gonna probably knock some devices offline when you do this, because most of the things around here use Wi-Fi. Especially the fact that it has to kind of restart when you turn DHCP back on. It's going to definitely knock devices offline. Alright, so it's off now. And now, go back to TFTBD and click OK. Also, make sure your Windows PC firewall is off. Because if it's not, it's going to halt the traffic. Nothing's gonna happen. So just type in firewall and turn Windows Defender firewall on or off, and turn it all off, all of it. And yeah, so the firewall is now off, so it'll allow traffic through. And I haven't even really started the process, but yeah, traffic is already throwing. Traffic is already flowing through, as you can see. Alright, so now that we just covered all that, now it is time for the standard factory reset procedure on the Cisco phone. So we need to plug it into its PoE. Hold the pound sign. And you have to do this kind of fast too. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, star 0 pound. And then hopefully it should start nabbing some files using option 66. Yep, as you can see, it is now starting to pull some files. And there is activity within my TFTBD 64. It just leased an IP address to this phone. Zoom back out. So, tilt it upwards. And if we look over here, you can see it leased an IP address to the MAC address of my phone, right over there. So it looks like everything is working as it should so far. So it's configuring its IP now. That's a good sign. And it has to reset. Alright, so now it looks like it's got to upgrade again. Yeah, I think this happened last time too. It's just got to do it multiple times for some reason for it to work. So just give it time. And boom, it just registered just like that. So it says your current options, and it has the label right there. And so now let's actually zoom this back out, and let's grab another IP phone on freepbx. Place it right there. Come on. Alrighty, so now let's see, need to center it a little more. So now let's try placing a test call from the Cisco phone, the 7900. I mean, yeah, because they're both Cisco phones, but so this is 102. It works properly. Hello? Check. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. Check, check, check. And now let's do it the other way around. So this should be 201. Is it 201? Oh, I had the wrong line key. So it works properly. Hello?
Hello?
Check.
Check.
1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. And if we actually zoom in here again, let's see here, and pay attention to the soft keys on the Cisco 7942. Yeah, sccp also gives you the options for more soft keys. So if you click more, you see these, like, I don't know what this one is, but there's park, select, blah blah blah. There's also like direct transfer, I think, and record. So for instance, if we hit park, well, we might have to pick up this handset, put this on speaker to avoid feedback. So let's hit more and hit park.
7, 1.
And if we hit speaker on this one, it is now on hold. And we can totally just pick up any phone on the freepbx server. And if we dial 71, it'll retrieve that parked call. So pick up this phone right here, the 7800. And 71. Hello? Check. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, so this all seems to be working properly. And let's see here. And yeah, I mean, this has been a video on how to configure a Cisco 7942G with Chan sccp on freepbx. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really gonna go into too much detail on anything else just besides configuring it. because I mean I've already done like a demonstration of the other things it can do in my past video. So anyway, yeah, thank you all for watching the video, and you guys have a nice day.